there, boys and girls, welcome back to BackPocketGameReviews, and today we're going to talk about when PC building goes wrong. Specifically, we are talking about The Verge. Some of you have probably heard of The Verge, seeing as they're a relatively large channel. So, The Verge released a PC building video. It's a video showing you how to build a PC. Now, it's not a bad thing. I fully support that kind of knowledge being shown correctly on the internet. The issue is that there were so many errors in it. If you are ever going to build a PC, like if that is something you are interested in, please don't ever use that video for reference, ever. Thankfully, it took a few days, but The Verge finally pulled that video down. They then decided to blame the internet for how poorly received the video was. Keep in mind, this is not the internet's fault. Not even a little bit. While I don't condone bullying, I don't agree with harassing people, even if they are putting content out on the internet and you dislike their content, just move along. There's other people you will like. The issue I have here is this was showing people how to do something that a lot of people haven't done before. And when you're looking to build your first computer, you're going to use a lot of online references. You are going to watch walkthroughs. You are going to watch different videos about different pieces and how to install them. You're going to read articles on specs and performance. This, however, was not something you should ever do if you were building a PC. A lot of people are probably going to be like, well, this got blown out of proportion. Not really. I think my bigger issue is that The Verge left it up, and after they started to get a whole bunch of dislikes and mean comments, they disabled the comments and disabled the likes to dislikes ratio, probably because it was a sponsored video with Capital One. Now, I get it, you have sponsors, but that's why accuracy matters even more in this video, is because I'm pretty sure Capital One, if they've caught anything that happened there, will never want to sponsor your videos again. Maybe though, because it's The Verge and they're a relatively large channel, so they probably have more pull. My issue is that someone who probably saw this video, or probably even someone who saw this video and then saw a lot of the ways that people were reacting to this, may now be steered away from building their own computer due to this video. Building your own computer is relatively easy. The issue is that most people tend to overthink it. A good example would be what this guy did when building his computer. I've never used anything to drop a CPU into place, by the way. I'm assuming a lot of you saw this video. I mean, it was bad. But I've never used anything to drop a CPU into the socket. I mean, it's a pretty simple task. Out of everything you're doing with the computer, that's one of the most straightforward things that you're gonna do. I've never used a thermal paste applicator. And that's where my biggest cringe really came from, was the fact that this thing was just smothered in thermal paste, and then when he goes to put on the heatsink, he peels off the thermal paste sticker because there's already thermal paste on the heatsink. Granted, I wouldn't have used that thermal paste. I would not have used the thermal paste that was already on the heatsink, so he didn't need thermal paste on the CPU. I use Arctic Silver, so I take any thermal paste that's already pre-installed off. Thermal paste is something you get what you pay for. Over time, Arctic Silver will hold up better than probably 90% of your cheap thermal paste tubes. To give you an idea, this tube right here is about $7 for this tiny little tube. Most of them are going to be much larger for about the same price. Arctic Silver does a very good job at doing its job, which is why I'm willing to pay that kind of money for Arctic Silver, especially if someone wanted to get into overclocking. This is going to have a really, really good hold up. It's not going to start to dry out quite like some of the other thermal compounds do. it does its job much more efficiently. But then he just slops the two thermal. It looked like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich of thermal paste, which isn't how it should look. All you do is you squeeze out about the size of a pea, right into the middle. Once you tighten down your heatsink, it'll spread it all out and create that nice seal with it. Instead, his looked like it just got out of a bukkake. So it was pretty upsetting to see. And the issue you have there is if that thermal paste spills out onto the motherboard, it could cause issues down the line. Not only that, but there were several other problems that came up, like his RAM sticks being installed in the wrong slots. I don't think it was reading his full amount of RAM. Could be wrong. And don't get me wrong, there was some good information in that video. That video started off extremely strong. I liked when they did the whole, oh, this is what you'd want for streaming. Yeah, I break stuff down like that for customers that I'm working with all the time. You're a basic computer user, you're not going to be doing anything too hard, you want an i3. And granted, I use Intel as my benchmark, and you know, nowadays, Ryzen has become much more competitive again. Well, AMD, but they've become more competitive again because of Ryzen. I feel like there's so many things now that people are going to rip this apart, and it's going to make other people feel really insecure about possibly going out and building their own machine. Now keep in mind, it's your machine, so it's not going to be getting literally reviewed by the internet who just watched you do it. The other issue is when he installed his power supply, he faced the fan towards the case wall that doesn't have any ventilation, so it's stagnate. Oh, that was so bad. Oh. But then, on top of that, he calls the little foam sound dampers. That's what they are. They're sound dampers. They are there to cushion the heatsink, so if the heatsink vibrates at all while it's plugged in, rather than it clanking against the case, because there's a fan, there's a big fan in there, so it's moving. Rather than it banging against the case, it's just getting cushioned by that foam. But he says that they are insulators, and if it's touching your case, that your heatsink could blow out other parts, which would mean that your whole case would actually be electric at that point. That would mean there is literally a charge going through your whole case. If that's being caused by your power supply, return it immediately. That is a huge safety issue, and it shouldn't ever function that way for any reason. Cable management, won't make fun of him for that. I have trash cable management. His was much worse than mine, but I will never make fun of someone for their cable management. I understand that is not a skill that everybody has, and it's not a skill that everybody needs. The cable management, as long as it's not sticking, I mean, don't like go sticking like a cable inside the fan and expect that to hold it. I could see someone doing that now. He used the wrong screws in several different instances. And one major tip here too that I would like to give you from someone who has built several computers and works on them regularly: don't open every box at the beginning and set everything out. That's how you wind up with, I don't know what screw goes where, I don't know where this is supposed to plug in. Now you just have a hodgepodge of stuff everywhere. Open each item as you're ready to use it. Also, another tip, just to make things a little more convenient for you, install the CPU and the RAM before you actually put the motherboard in. Most people do that. Most. You don't have to. You can put it in after. That is not a huge deal if you choose to do it that way. But most people pre-install that stuff before dropping it in. And actually, if you're buying that they have CPUs that already come mounted in motherboards. That is a thing still as well. That should never be your concern. That's literally as simple as dropping it in and then flipping a little lever thing down to lock it into place. Easy. There shouldn't be an applicator for thermal paste. You don't need it. It's drop the size of a pea. Nice and simple. It'll spread itself out. You don't need to spread it out. Second you tighten down that heatsink, it just pushes it all around. The issue that stands here is a lot of the information that was given could potentially damage the stuff that you bought. I wouldn't even have bashed them if they would have pulled the video down and been like, yeah, but there's even a lot of stuff coming out now saying he wasn't allowed to reshoot, he wasn't allowed to make retakes. So they rushed it. They rushed it, and now they're blaming people in the internet saying, oh, they were mean to him, they shouldn't. Really? You shouldn't have posted the video. Where was your quality control? I'm just saying, if you have an editor who knows anything about PCs, that video should have never made it out. Ever. For any reason. I'm sure it was rushed because it was sponsored by Capital One. What's in your wallet? They wanted Capital One's money in theirs. I'm just saying that as that large of a channel, there is no reason that should have happened. None. Absolutely zero. This wasn't like a casual mistake either. Like some of these, if that video would have been titled his first PC build, I don't think anyone would have been that upset. There's also some rumors going around they fixed the computer off screen. So that means they knew that the video was bad. I don't know if maybe they just wanted to garner outrage. Like maybe that's what they're going for. They wanted the attention. Because, you know, nowadays, all publicity is good publicity. So, and it is what it is. Unfortunately, I would never take tech advice from The Verge now after watching that. I would recommend you not take tech advice from The Verge now after that video was released. And don't get me wrong, there are going to be times where you'll need to look at instruction booklets for maybe hooking up the case, or each device comes with its own instruction booklet, most of which you aren't going to need, but sometimes you might need a quick reference. Sometimes that heatsink might come with some weird to set up bracket that might not be as straightforward as you think. That there are a lot of different things that can come into play there. And unfortunately, this video isn't good for anyone. This video is a good laugh for those who know how to build computers, but for someone who actually is interested in building their first computer, this probably did way more damage than it did good. I'm sure there are people now who've seen that, and as I said, probably don't feel comfortable because of all the backlash and now think it's a lot harder. No, the biggest issue is that a lot of the stuff in that video was overthought to some extent. And the stuff that should have been overthought wasn't. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. Man. By the way, the video was originally sent to me by a subscriber named Jaden. Thank you, Jaden. It was a good laugh for me. I really don't see how a tech channel released that intentionally, though. Like, oh, this is all right. This will do just fine. This will really show people how to build a computer. Wrong. This will show people how to build a computer. Wrong is what it did. And most of those seem like minor missteps, which for the most part they were. After you plugged it in, you would have probably noticed your RAM wasn't reading right. You fixed it. Not the thermal paste. The thermal paste, you need to know before you actually do that, should be about the size of a pea. Right in the center of the CPU. Simple. Simple. But guys, I would love to hear your opinions about this down in the comments down below. Did you watch the Verge video? How did it change your perception of PC building? If you've never built a computer, did that video make it seem easy for you, or did it make it seem like now you'd be slightly worried about doing it yourself? And as I said, it's really not a hard process. It's pretty simple. Guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a thumbs up. That helps me grow the community and the channel here. Also, if you really like the content, you can click the subscribe button. That'll let you know when I make more content. Only if you ding the little bell, though. If you click the subscribe button on its own, you're just sort of just sitting there. Yeah, I don't gotta add that extra step. But guys, thanks for watching. I'm gonna have plenty of content coming for you, and stick around.